Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about some financial moves for your growing family, and Colton Saunders is here to kind of fill us in on what we should do. It's never too late to start thinking about this, Colton, is that right?
I would agree with you, Mike. Of course, expanding your family is a fun thing to think about, and it's an exciting time, but also cannot be so exciting if you don't plan ahead for it, right? And so, kind of trying to estimate your expenses and build out a budget is paramount.
And there's a lot of things that you kind of have to take into consideration as well when you start making your new family. Who's going to take the time off? What are you going to do with insurance? What are you going to do to make sure that you have a little bit left over extra each month? And how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so try to create a budget. I guess we would suggest maybe prior to the arrival of uh, your new child, sit down, try to create a budget and anticipate some of your expenses. Of course, some of them are going to be relatively small, hopefully one-time purchases like car seats, strollers, cribs, things of that nature. But then there's also larger ones like unexpected medical expenses and time off and food and clothing and things like that. But one of them often overlooked because it's usually a bigger budget item than folks realize is childcare.
Right.
So, maybe one spouse is going to, stay home, or maybe you're going to pay for full-time childcare. But this is definitely something to look into prior to the arrival of your new child and try to get that ironed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times you don't think about child care being that big of an expense, but it is. It is a huge expense, and it's something that does need to, is it a good idea to kind of practice where you're putting all this money before the child is brought into the family? Like set your budget aside
Yes.
each month for this and this and this?
I would. And like I said, try to anticipate those expenses. The other thing is building up your emergency fund. So if you're used to having maybe 2 or 3 months of expenses, maybe build that out to 6 months of expenses so you're over prepared and ready for maybe more of those unexpected things. And a couple other things, Mike, I'll mention is make sure you talk with your tax person. You could qualify for some extra credits or deductions that you didn't know about. And also maybe, think about education planning as well and consider maybe doing a 529 education plan or something along those lines.
And great points, Colton. And what if somebody has questions? How can they get in touch with you?
Sure, yeah. Look us up online at edwardjones.com. You can type in your zip code. There's several of us here in town. If you're in town, we'd be happy to set up a time to talk with you.
All right, never too early to plan for this. Colton, great information. Appreciate it. All right,
Of course, thanks for having me.
thank you. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.